Sakamoto Days, The Assassin's New Life Full Recap. Chapter 5 to Chapter 15. Get ready for a crazy ride. This is the story of a legendary killer who just wants to live in peace, and his psychic apprentice who can't catch a break. The warehouse showdown and the sacrifice. Shin Asakura came to a warehouse to meet the boss. The boss in front of him immediately asked him, "What else do you want to say?" Looking at the silent Shin, the boss also guessed the result. It's a shame. Shin immediately knelt on the ground in front of the boss, hoping that the boss could release Taro Sakamoto. Seeing Shin kneeling down, his subordinate immediately laughed out loud. Mocking Shin as a thief, he actually knelt down to beg for mercy. The boss then asked him with a long face, "Why did you cover Sakamoto?" Although Shin knelt on the ground, his eyes were very tough, indicating that Sakamoto now had its own home, and would not hinder the interests of the gang. The boss still said in a light and clear voice, "Sakamoto broke the rules of the Black Thief, so he must die." Shin couldn't seem to convince him, so he immediately took out his pistol and held his chin, and said that he could exchange his death for the survival of Sakamoto. The boss was silent for 2 seconds, asking Shin why he did not hesitate to do so. Shin said that it was a shame for him to aim the gun at the person he admires. Hearing Shin's answer, the boss became silent again, and suddenly agreed to Shin's conditions, saying that as long as he was willing to die, he would let go of Sakamoto. But wait. In the boss's heart, he was mocking Shin as a fool. He would never let go of Sakamoto. At this time, Shin immediately pointed at the boss with a gun, because the boss's heart had been hurt by him. Although he had already guessed that this would be the result, he still wanted to try it. Seeing Shin's reaction, the boss also suddenly remembered Shin's superpower, and immediately ordered his subordinate behind him to kill Shin. Sakamoto's rescue and incredible speed. At this time, in the Sakamoto shop, only the head of the Taro Sakamoto wore headphones, listening to the constant sound of fighting in the headphones. Then put down the headphones, take out the key, and insert it into a button on the receiver, and then quickly tap it on the receiver with your right hand. The screen turns only to see the Taro Sakamoto itself before the goods start to turn. Countless gun bullets and control tools appeared in front of the audience. At this time, Shin was hiding behind a container, because his superpower could hear other people's heartbeats, so those people hadn't found him yet. Just when the boss warned his subordinate that Shin was a superpower, he was too close to hear the heartbeat, and Shin rushed out quickly. Shin rushed over and immediately shot. Just as Shin hit his subordinate, the subordinate fired a shot at the moment he fell. And this shot hit Shin's right thigh directly. He also lost his balance and gradually fell to the ground. When he was about to stand up, 3 subordinates appeared in front of him and pointed their guns at his head. Just when Shin thought he was dead, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Taro Sakamoto of the hand-holding motor gun instantly dropped these 3 subordinates on the ground. The boss on the other side was surprised to see Sakamoto that suddenly appeared, and then immediately ordered the rest of the subordinate to kill Sakamoto. When Sakamoto's left fist was about to hit a subordinate's face, the subordinate's gun had been removed by Sakamoto's right hand. Some parts flew into the air. The speed of Sakamoto is almost incredible. Sakamoto's fist directly hit the face of this subordinate, and immediately turned the subordinate upside down and fell to the ground. A subordinate with a knife came to the back. Sakamoto did not look back at this subordinate at all. The right hand had already grabbed his wrist, and then pulled him to the front of his body. The left hand was a fist on the spot, and the head was bent for him. The boss ordered the rest of the subordinate to shoot together. Don't mess with Grandpa's story. Sakamoto didn't know where to get 2 knives and set up a fighting posture. Sakamoto rushed to the boss and gave him and the other 2 subordinates a knife. And the gun had become 2 halves. The boss was bleeding from his chest, said a wail, and fell down. Shin could only keep repeating the word awesome in his mind. Is this the legendary killer Taro Sakamoto? The new clerk and the family vow. Shin Asakura immediately asked Taro Sakamoto why he suddenly appeared here. Sakamoto didn't speak, but picked up Shin's gun and pulled out a little thing, an eavesdropper. Shin guessed that Sakamoto was released yesterday. Sakamoto threw something on the ground, the apron of the Sakamoto shop. Sakamoto randomly told him in his mind that the execution was 800 yuan. No, it was 850 yuan. He kept saying that he didn't work overtime to make up for it. Just before Shin reacted, he came to the shop of Sakamoto and became a clerk. Who can guess that the 2 people in front of him were killers? Aoi Sakamoto saw Shin become a clerk and immediately praised the clerk's clothes. Shin immediately entered the state. An old lady came to the shop with a big headache because she couldn't find the washing machine. Shin immediately showed his ability and helped the old lady find the washing machine. The Sakamoto family was very pleased to see this scene. Unknowingly, a week had passed. Shin still can't forget the one-move ceremony of Sakamoto that day. Just when Shin said that every move of Sakamoto was a must-kill, the Aoi Sakamoto clerk behind happened to hear the word kill. She was angry and asked Sakamoto if he wanted to go back and be a killer. Sakamoto crossed his hands at the same time and shook his head violently in front of his chest. The fat on his face was almost thrown out. Sakamoto immediately explained that he had avoided all fatal injuries. Aoi Sakamoto showed a face that did not believe Sakamoto and said that Sakamoto should remember very clearly. If Sakamoto violates the family training, they will divorce. Suddenly, he walked out of the store with an angry face. Shin asked Sakamoto what the family training was. Sakamoto did not say anything. He came to Shin's back in an instant and stabbed Shin's neck directly with 2 round pens. Shin, who was killed in his mind again, was shocked and lost his composure. The hijack bus and the third rule. It was noon. Shin was cleaning the door. A patrol policeman rode a bicycle over, saying there had been bad guys. Shin immediately said that this is the safest shop in Sakura. At this time, a bus was hijacked by a few thieves. The boss immediately spoke, saying he would kill anyone suspicious. Coincidentally, Taro Sakamoto was just on this bus. He found the seriousness of the situation. Sakamoto was thinking that the ice cream in his bag was about to melt. Shin and Sakamoto were delivering goods. Shin asked Sakamoto what the family training was. Sakamoto said, "I can't explain it in a moment." Sakamoto noticed the bus passing by. Then he grabbed the handle of the bus in Shin's hand and came to kill him. Sakamoto grabbed the handle of the bus in Shin's hand and came to kill him. Shin, who stopped the bus, immediately asked Sakamoto what the situation was. Sakamoto explained that the bus just now was hijacked. And his wife, Aoi Sakamoto, was on that bus. The robbers were speaking. A cartoon he liked was cut off, so now he wants to make this bus crash into Sakura building. And the passengers will become the cornerstone of the cartoon industry. One of the robbers immediately noticed the very conspicuous Sakamoto. He didn't understand that he was going to die. But Sakamoto was very calm. That's because he believed the person in his heart would definitely come to save him. The other robber thought that Sakamoto was already scared to death. Sakamoto and Shin were chasing the bus and discussing the battle plan. Shin said that the first thing was to ensure the safety of the hostage. The second thing was not to expose the identity of the killer. Sakamoto said that Shin was wrong. Because there was a third one. That is, you can't kill people. Shin said that he wanted to ask this question a long time ago. Why can't you kill people? When he heard Shin's question, Sakamoto smiled. The Christmas promised no killing. Time goes back to that Christmas 5 years ago. Aoi Sakamoto had blood on his face. He was holding a Christmas gift in his hand. He said that he rushed over as soon as he finished work. Aoi quickly noticed that he was not a human being. Hey! He saw that he had just killed someone. He was angry and asked Sakamoto, "Why did you do such a terrible thing?" Sakamoto explained that if he didn't work, he wouldn't have the money to buy a gift. Aoi said that he didn't want this kind of blood-stained gift. Looking at Sakamoto's dull expression, Aoi said enough. At the same time, he used his hands and feet to climb over the guardrail next to him. He said that if Sakamoto didn't make a change, he wouldn't be able to stay with Sakamoto. Then, without further ado, he jumped down from here. Sakamoto was also surprised by his sudden operation. Then he heard a bang. Sakamoto had rushed up. The strong explosive force was like a bomb. The guardrail was broken by him. The picture changed. He only saw his hands holding Aoi Sakamoto's head. The whole person also put on the guardrail's body. The two of them fell down directly. The man in front of him was not a robber but a madman. The two of them fell down directly. The passers-by quickly came to observe. They were ready to have a hot dog. They only saw Sakamoto digging out of the snow. They thought they were dead. Fortunately, the snow below was very thick. Aoi, which suddenly cracked his eyes, explained what had just happened. Then he wiped his tears with his eyes and feet. He touched the face of Sakamoto with his hands. He asked if Sakamoto wanted him to die. He must be very sad, right? Then he said to Sakamoto, just like Sakamoto saved his mood. No matter who it is a very important person in other people's eyes. Aoi then let Sakamoto make a promise to him. That is, let Sakamoto stop killing people. And this is the promise between the two of them. And he asked Sakamoto how many people he had killed before. From now on, he will use the rest of his life to save the same number of people. Back to reality. Sakamoto and Aoi Sakamoto on the bus thought of the previous promise. There was a smile on their faces. The random Sakamoto repeated to Shin again that he could not kill people. Road sign blockade and identity exposure. Sakamoto sent the signal to Shin in his mind. Shin's operation made the motorcycle leave the heart of the earth. The car was taken directly to the top of the bus. Shin had pulled up his collar and covered his face, reminding Sakamoto that he had to cover his face. The road sign on the road in front of him was already close to him. Sakamoto jumped up from the backseat in an instant. He jumped over the height sign directly. This jump was more than 10 meters high. And Shin was screaming and lying down directly. Sakamoto became a ninja. He kept jumping on the roof next to him. The speed was faster than the bus below. Then he told Shin in his mind that he would go around to the front first. While Sakamoto was moving, he saw that the child below was playing with a mask. So one of the child's masks was gone. Shin fell over. He kicked the window of the bus with one foot. A robber heard the movement. Shin pulled his hands to hang the ring. He tied his neck with his left foot. By the way, he kicked his right foot without mercy. The masked robber was kicked by Shin with one foot. Then he used a knife to hit another robber's neck directly. The last robber was controlled by Shin's hands and feet. Then he immediately told him to stop the bus. Otherwise, he would break his hand directly. The driver was shouting for help. His feet and the gas station had long been tied together by the robber with chains. Shin shouted to the robber to untie the lock quickly. Shin, who had no choice, immediately told Sakamoto the current situation. Sakamoto jumped directly in front of the bus. He held a road sign in his hand and said that the problem Shin had mentioned did not exist. Because the road was blocked here, when the bus was finished, he hit it directly. Sakamoto grabbed the road sign with both hands and held the ground to resist the impact of the bus. The ground had been blocked by a hole. Sakamoto took the road sign with his head and walked on the bus with a female mask. After Sakamoto took off the mask, Aoi Sakamoto was happy to say that he knew Sakamoto would come to save him. Sakamoto said sorry to Aoi and said that the morning words were a bit heavy. And Aoi smiled and said the 12th line of the lesson. That is, have a good meal on the day of the quarrel. The Sakamoto family training note. When everyone returned to the Sakamoto shop, it was a delicious meal. The TV was showing Sakamoto stopping the bus with the road sign. The heroic story of fighting the bandits forever. The daughter, Hana Sakamoto, had found that her figure was very much like her father. Sakamoto and Shin left a cold sweat. It's lucky to wear a mask. There should be no exposure. Shin said he was very moved by the reason why Sakamoto did not kill people. Because he saw all the memories of Sakamoto at that time. At this time, Sakamoto took out a notebook called the Sakamoto Training Note. And said if Shin is a member of the Sakamoto family, then he must follow this training. Shin was very excited. Because this means that he has been trusted by the Sakamoto brother. Officially became a member of the Sakamoto family. The pursuing police officer. The time came the next day. Sakamoto and Shin came out to deliver goods again. This youthful and beautiful female police officer, Zonglei, appeared in front of them, saying that parking is prohibited here. Zonglei didn't know why. Catching Sakamoto is a lesson. Shin noticed the paper on the female police officer's car. The screen turned. He only saw the picture of Sakamoto blocking the bus on it. She was collecting information about the masked man who was called the hero of justice. Zonglei was suddenly angry and grabbed the fist. And said that he would not spare this masked man. Because he thought that using the method of violence against violence was not justice at all. So he made up his mind to catch the masked man. Shin and Sakamoto felt awkward. Shin said one more sentence. It means that those passengers are not injured. Isn't it good? Hearing Shin's words, the female police officer was like a cat with a mouse smell. Then appeared in the middle of Sakamoto and Shin. Why did Shin know so clearly? Because the public information was not so detailed. Shin immediately began to find excuses. The more he drew, the darker it was. Just when the female police officer used the intercom to notify the police station and found two suspicious people, Sakamoto and Shin had run to the front door. Zonglei found that Sakamoto and Shin had disappeared. She only saw Sakamoto and Shin hiding behind two human wooden planks. Sakamoto also stuffed a bunch of balls in her mouth. A passing child saw Sakamoto and Shin laughing at the same time. This also successfully attracted the attention of Zonglei. Sakamoto suddenly jumped up. The right hand also threw something to the back. The female police officer who caught up suddenly stopped. Because the bamboo stick thrown by Sakamoto was blocked in front. She jumped up like Sakamoto. But because of the calculation error, she jumped directly on the oil paint that hadn't dried yet. The scrapyard incident, power versus idealism. The previous old police officer came to ask if the female police officer Zonglei was here. Hana Sakamoto heard that she was talking about the female police officer and said that she liked that sister very much. Because when she was lost before, she not only carried her home but also bought ice cream for her. Shin was asking Sakamoto what to do. Sakamoto threw 2 round balls with her left hand and said that it was time for the post-meal exercise. The female police officer Zonglei was tied to a chair. She was questioning the person opposite. Do you know the consequences of doing this? The person with a scar on his face is Jin Pingli, the leader of the Baozo clan. Jin Pingli said that Zonglei saw the scene where they were selling medicine bottles. He said that if Zonglei wore a gun with him, the plot wouldn't have developed like this. Zonglei said that even if he had a gun, he wouldn't point it at them with a gun. The leader stopped him on the spot. He didn't expect that the female police officer was so naive. The subordinate were laughing. The leader said that the weaker the person is, the more he likes to sing idealism. If you want to protect something, you have to have the corresponding power. 2 round-shaped ball-shaped objects suddenly rolled over. He heard a bang. There was a lot of smoke on the scene. It turned out to be a smoke bomb. The leader was scared out of his wits. He thought a streak was coming. In the smoke, these 2 figures are Sakamoto and Shin. Shin used superpowers to identify the other's location. Sakamoto kicked the leader's face with 1 foot. His eyes were broken on the spot. His nose was also kicked out. Shin continued to report the location of the enemy. Then Sakamoto began to collect people's heads. It was super. When the smoke dispersed, the ground was full of the Tyrannosaurus. The individuals were in pain. Zonglei also felt that the fighting sound around him had disappeared. Jin Pingli climbed up shakily. His right hand wanted to give Zonglei a piece. He said, "It's all this bitch's fault." Sakamoto suddenly gave Jin Pingli a fist in the smoke. And Zonglei fell to the ground. The cloth that covered his eyes also fell off. Shin, who saw this situation, was shocked. Because Sakamoto didn't cover his face at all. The thin Sakamoto appeared in front of Zonglei. Zonglei, who was sitting on the ground, immediately asked who he was. Zonglei asked who this handsome guy with glasses was. Shin, who was next to him, was shocked to see the situation in front of him. He didn't know why Sakamoto suddenly became thin. Sakamoto told Shin to go. The Meatbun mission and the Twin Killers. The next day, Shin looked at Sakamoto who came back after only a day. He was shocked again. Looking at Sakamoto's eating face, Shin was thinking, is it because he consumed calories yesterday? The thin Sakamoto was more handsome. Sakamoto and Shin came to the famous Zonghua Street. Sakamoto took out a bun shop and offered 50 meat buns every day. Good guy. It was for food. A Chinese girl, Lu Xiaotang, fell from the sky. Although Sakamoto caught the girl, the meat bun in his hand was crushed. Sakamoto felt sorry for the meat bun. A few people in the back screamed and found this stinky woman. A bald man suddenly appeared behind her, holding her arms. The man in black suit took out a knife. Sakamoto took out a bun shop from somewhere and grabbed the knife in the man's hand. Then he turned up and instantly split the knife in half. Shin jumped on the bald man. Shin took this thing and smashed it directly on the bald man's face. The man in black suit took out a pistol. Lu Xiaotang quickly opened the man in black suit's arm with her left hand. Then there was a blast. She immediately flew the enemy out. Shin saw the girl's fist and said that she was quite strong. More enemies ran towards them and said that they would kill the Chinese girl and her companion together. Sakamoto and Shin were shocked. Kangchi decided to run first. Someone at the Chamber of Commerce was reporting the escape of the Chinese girl. The Chamber of Commerce president said with a gloomy face that she had escaped again. Then he used a cane to hit the man with glasses. A blind bald man suddenly stabbed him from behind. At that moment, his head and body were separated. The bald killer grabbed the bald man's head with his right hand and covered his mouth with his left hand. He said to a killer named Sunpei that the bald man didn't even know he was dead and was still breathing. The killer with long hair is Sunpei and let his brother Ma Chao don't play with the body casually. The president told them that their goal was the key in the hands of the Chinese girl. As long as you get the key, you can dominate the black market in the Chinese world. Shin and the others learned from Lu Xiaotang that she was the daughter of the Black Han Party family. And the reason why those people chased her was the key in her hand. And this key was the key to their family's hidden vault. Shin asked her to throw this thing away quickly. Lu Xiaotang shouted, absolutely no. This was something that her parents would protect even if they died. Sakamoto asked Lu Xiaotang if she could make meat buns. Lu Xiaotang said that her father had taught her. Shin guessed that Sakamoto wanted to help the girl. Sakamoto said that she would stop the purchase first and help the girl first. She randomly said to the girl that if she came back alive the girl must make meat buns for her. This is the condition to help her. The bold killer Ma Chao suddenly appeared in the back of Sakamoto. It was a kick. The strong force moved the fat on the face of Sakamoto. The kick kicked directly on the face of Sakamoto. The kick kicked her directly to the next building. Because of the force, there was an explosion-like movement and followed by smoke. The building was like being bombed by a missile. Lu Xiaotang felt bad. The long-haired killer Sunpei was making fun of Ma Chao's way of killing and lacked some character. Lu Xiaotang explained that Sunpei and Ma Chao are very famous twin killers. Their interest is to bring the target's head to the residence. Then they closed the door to draw the pervert. Ma Chao said that he was very happy. Sunpei scolded him for stupid. Because attracting attention is a shame for a killer.